The Cubs and Dodgers turned Wrigley into a home run derby, with Pete Crow-Armstrong and Shohei Ohtani both going deep twice in a wild 7-6 Chicago win, while win streaks and losing streaks piled up across the league on a jam-packed Wednesday. The Toronto Blue Jays held on for a 5-4 road win over the Houston Astros, riding a 3-homer barrage that overcame a strong start from Hunter Brown. Ernie Clement and Jesus Sanchez each went deep for Toronto, while Jose Altuve answered for Houston with a solo shot of his own. Brown was electric on the mound for the Astros, striking out 8 over 6 innings, but the offense couldn't back him up enough down the stretch. LaMonte Wade Jr. paced Houston's lineup by going 3 for 4 with an RBI, a multi-hit night that stands out on a day light on offensive fireworks league-wide. Dalton Varsho added a stolen base for the Astros, while Nick Allen and Christian Walker also chipped in hits. On the other side, Louis Varland worked a scoreless inning of relief to pick up the win, and Chase Lee slammed the door with a 1-inning save to seal it for Toronto. A tight, well-pitched affair that came down to a handful of big swings. In the wildest game of the day, the Chicago Cubs outlasted the Los Angeles Dodgers 7-6 in a slugfest loaded with home runs. Pete Crow-Armstrong put on a show for Chicago, blasting 2 home runs and driving in 4 runs, while going 3 for 5, one of the best individual lines of the day and a huge fantasy performance. Shohei Ohtani matched him blow for blow, going 3 for 5 with 2 homers and 3 RBIs for Los Angeles, and Max Muncy also went deep for the Dodgers. Despite Ohtani's heroics, Los Angeles couldn't complete the comeback, falling to a 6th straight loss as their skid continues to snowball. Freddie Freeman kept his own streak alive, extending his hitting streak to 7 straight games even in the losing effort. Carson Kelly chipped in a 3 for 5 night for Chicago, and Nico Hoerner went 3 for 4 with an RBI, while Mookie Betts was nearly perfect at the plate for LA, going 4 for 5. Shota Imanaga got the win for the Cubs despite allowing a run in 5 innings, and Jacob Webb slammed the door with a 1-inning save. With this much power on display and the score swinging back and forth, this was the signature game of the night across all of baseball. Texas Rangers blanked the San Francisco Giants 6-0, riding a Brandon Nimmo home run and a shutdown pitching staff to a clean win in just 2 hours and 34 minutes. Tyler Alexander was sharp out of the bullpen, striking out 3 without allowing a run over 1.2 innings to pick up the win as part of a complete team effort on the mound for Texas. Wyatt Langford, Jake Berger, Jock Pederson, and Justin Foscue all chipped in hits for the Rangers as their lineup stayed steady throughout. San Francisco managed a handful of singles from Rafael Devers, Young-Hoo Lee, and Bryce Eldridge, but the Giants never found a consistent rhythm against Texas pitching and were shut out on the road. A clean, efficient win for Texas from top to bottom. The Tampa Bay Rays cruised to a 4-0 shutout win over the Colorado Rockies, keyed by a Junior Caminero home run and a strong outing from starter Nick Martinez. Martinez was excellent, working 5.2 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts to pick up the win, and the Rays bullpen finished the job to keep Colorado off the board the rest of the way. Tampa Bay also flashed speed on the bases, with Taylor Walls and Chandler Simpson each swiping a bag, while Colorado's Jake McCarthy stole a base of his own in a losing effort. The Rockies managed hits from Mickey Moniak, Jordan Beck, Ezequiel Tovar, and Kyle Carros, but could never push a run across the plate, falling to a clean shutout at home in front of just over 21,000 fans. The Baltimore Orioles powered past the Los Angeles Angels 5-2 behind 3 home runs and a dominant start from Trevor Rogers. Leody Taveras, Tyler O'Neill, and Kobe Mayo all went deep for Baltimore, while Jose Siri answered with a solo shot for the Angels. Rogers was outstanding on the mound, striking out 9 over 6 innings to earn the win, and Andrew Kittredge closed things out with a scoreless save. Gunnar Henderson and Christian Encarnacion Strand also had hits for the Orioles as the offense stayed productive throughout. Wade Meckler stole a base for Los Angeles, and Nolan Shaniel and Travis Darnod each had a hit, but the Angels' offense couldn't keep pace with Baltimore's power surge. With 3 long balls backing a 9-strikeout outing from their starter, the Orioles controlled this one from start to finish. The New York Mets edged the Cleveland Guardians 6-5 in a back-and-forth affair despite a dazzling start from Cleveland's Tanner Bibby, who struck out 10 over 5.2 innings. Brett Baty, Carson Bench, and Jorge Polanco all homered for New York, providing enough offense to outlast a Cleveland lineup led by Angel Genao, who went 4 for 5 with an RBI. Chase McDermott picked up the win for the Mets with 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen, and Daniel Duarte closed it out with a save. Stephen Kwan, Nathaniel Lowe, and Travis Bazzana also had hits for Cleveland as the Guardians pushed the Mets the whole way. Despite Bibby's dominant strikeout total, the Guardians' pitching staff and offense couldn't quite hold on, and Cleveland fell in a game that swung several times before New York came out on top. The Cincinnati Reds edged the Athletics 3-2, extending Oakland's rough stretch to a 6th straight loss. Matt McLain went deep for Cincinnati while Lawrence Butler answered with a solo homer for the A's, but it wasn't enough to snap the skid. Jacob Lopez was brilliant on the mound for Oakland, striking out 9 over 5 innings, but the bullpen and offense couldn't back him up. Rhett Loader got the win for the Reds with 6 innings of 2-run ball, and Emilio Pagan closed it out with a save. Ellie De La Cruz and Noly Marte each swiped a bag for Cincinnati, and Jose Trevino and Sal Stewart also chipped in hits. It was a game where pitching dominated on both sides, but the Athletics' losing streak proved impossible to shake as Oakland dropped its 6th in a row. The Washington Nationals blew the doors off in Philadelphia, cruising to a 10-4 win over the Phillies in a game slowed by a rain delay. C.J. Abrams was the offensive star, going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and also swiping it back, while Brady House added a home run for Washington. Luis Ariz went deep for the Phillies in the loss, and Alec Boehm, Brandon Marsh, and J.T. Realmuto also had hits, but Philadelphia's pitching couldn't contain a Nationals lineup that piled on runs all afternoon. Clayton Beeter picked up the win in relief for Washington. Bryson Stott and Derek Hill each stole a base for the Phillies, but it was a night that belonged entirely to the Nationals' offense in a game that stretched to 3 hours and 40 minutes. Louis Cardinals went into Yankee Stadium and came away with a 3-1 win over New York in a game slowed by a rain delay of over an hour. Andre Palante was steady for the Cardinals, working 5.1 innings and allowing just 1 earned run with 4 strikeouts to earn the win, and Riley O'Brien closed it out with a save. It was a quiet night for power on both sides with no home runs hit, as St. Louis pitching staff did the heavy lifting. Ivan Herrera, Jimmy Crooks, J.J. Weatherholt, and Blaze Jordan all had hits for the Cardinals to back up the pitching effort. Paul Goldschmidt and Austin Wells had hits for the Yankees, but New York's offense couldn't generate enough against a Cardinals staff that controlled the game from the middle innings on. The Boston Red Sox blanked the Chicago White Sox 4-0, extending their winning streak to 6 straight games. Sonny Gray was dominant on the mound, striking out 8 over 6 scoreless innings to pick up the win, and Will Ira-Brew backed him up with a home run. Boston also ran wild on the bases with Abreu, Andrew Monasterio, and Jarren Duran each stealing a bag. Wilson Contreras and Khalid Durbin also had hits for the Red Sox as the offense stayed opportunistic all game. Chicago's offense managed only a few scattered hits from Andrew Benintendi, Sam Antonacci, and Miguel Vargas, and was shut out for the night. With Gray dealing and the Red Sox running the bases aggressively, Boston kept its hot streak alive in dominant fashion. The Atlanta Braves held off the Miami Marlins 4-1, pushing their winning streak to 6 straight games. Bryce Elder was excellent for Atlanta, allowing just 1 earned run over 7 innings to earn the win, and Didier Fuentes closed it out with a save. Miami's Yuri Perez was nearly unhittable himself, striking out 9 over 5 innings, but a lack of run support spoiled his outing. Mauricio Dubon stole a base for the Braves, and Michael Harris, Roman II, Drake Baldwin, Sean Murphy, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Austin Riley all chipped in hits for Atlanta's lineup. Jacob Mercy, Javier Sonoja, and Xavier Edwards had hits for Miami in the loss. Atlanta's offense did just enough against a tough Marlins arm, and the Braves continue to roll as one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. The Kansas City Royals edged the Minnesota Twins 2-1 behind a stellar start from Noah Cameron, who struck out 9 over 8 innings to pick up the win. Michael Massey provided the offensive spark with a home run, and Steven Cruz closed things out with a save to seal it. Minnesota's losing streak reached 4 straight games as the Twins' offense could never solve Cameron, managing only scattered hits from Ryan Jeffers and Royce Lewis. Isaac Collins, Nick Lofton, and Jack Caglianon also had hits for Kansas City as the Royals made the most of their limited offense. It was a pitcher's duel decided by one big swing, with Cameron going deep into the game and the Royals' bullpen needing just 1 out to finish it off. The Milwaukee Brewers topped the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-2 behind a dominant start from Kyle Harrison, who struck out 10 over 5 innings to earn the win. William Contreras homered for Milwaukee, while Andy Rodriguez answered with a solo shot for Pittsburgh, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Brewers' pitching. Garrett Mitchell was a menace on the bases, swiping 2 bags in the win, a standout fantasy performance, while Christian Yelich added a steal of his own. Trevor Megill closed it out with a save. Andrew Vaughn also had a hit for Milwaukee, while Brian Reynolds and Nick Gonzalez had hits for Pittsburgh. But Milwaukee's pitching and speed on the bases proved to be the difference in front of over 33,000 fans. The Arizona Diamondbacks routed the San Diego Padres 10-4 behind a huge night from Tim Tawa and a brilliant start from Mitch Bratt. Tawa went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run, and Ryan Waltrip added a 3 for 4 night of his own as Arizona's offense overwhelmed San Diego. Bratt was dominant on the mound, striking out 9 over 7 innings to pick up the win. Fernando Tatis Jr. went deep for the Padres in the loss, and Jake Cronenworth stole a base, but San Diego's pitching staff couldn't contain Arizona's offense. Corbin Carroll also swiped a bag for the Diamondbacks, and Lars Nootbaar, Geraldo Perdomo, and Jorge Barrosa all chipped in hits for Arizona's deep lineup in a game that turned into a rout early and never let up. The Seattle Mariners knocked off the Detroit Tigers 4-2 behind home runs from Colt Emerson and Julio Rodriguez. Bryan Woo was excellent on the mound for Seattle, working 7 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts to pick up the win, and Andrés Munoz closed it out with a save. Dylan Dingler answered for Detroit with a solo home run, but it wasn't enough to overcome Seattle's pitching and power at the plate. Randy Arizona, Taylor Ward, and Brendan Donovan also had hits for the Mariners as the offense stayed steady throughout. Gleyber Torres and Max Clark had hits for the Tigers, but Detroit's offense could never fully solve Woo, and the Mariners controlled the game behind their aces' dominant outing in front of over 40,000 fans at home. Freddie Freeman keeps rolling, extending his hitting streak to 7 straight games even in a losing effort, as the Dodgers have now dropped 6 in a row despite Ohtani's 2-homer night. On the winning side, both the Red Sox and Braves are riding 6-game winning streaks, with Boston's pitching and speed combo and Atlanta's dominant arms keeping them red hot. 2 teams surging, 1 former juggernaut searching for answers. Fantasy managers had plenty to work with out of Wrigley, where Pete Crow-Armstrong went off for 2 home runs and 4 RBIs, and Shohei Ohtani matched him with a 2-homer, 3 RBI night of his own, both league-winning lines. Carson Kelly added a 3 for 5 multi-hit game in that same contest. On the speed side, Garrett Mitchell swiped 2 bags for Milwaukee, a nice boost for anyone streaming him. Elsewhere, Lamonte Wade Jr. quietly put up a 3 for 4, 1 RBI night for Houston, worth noting on the waiver wire. That's a wrap on today's action around the majors. Hit subscribe so you never miss a recap, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more.